Hi everyone, welcome back to Filmy Fool. This is the place where we talk all things pop culture, and today I'm going to be talking about a comic book. First things first, guys, I have to say this. I have grown up on Indian comics. I have grown up on Raj Comics and Diamond Comics, from Chacha Chaudhary and Raman and Pinky and Billu to Nagaraj and Super Commando Dhruv. Dhruv was my favorite. From then to now, a lot of things have changed. A large part of that is because of the accessibility to DC and Marvel in India and Image in all other comics that are available today. While growing up, we didn't have access to any of these, but today you do. Everybody's looking at Marvel and DC as the holy grail of comics. But guys, Indian comics have come such a long way. It is unbelievable the kind of talent we have in this country and the kind of people we have in the Indian comic book industry. They need to be celebrated, they need to be cherished, and their work needs to be appreciated. I am talking about one such comic series called Technicolour Lovers. This is book 1 called Aaranya Kaandam, and this is by a new comic book publisher called The Black Sheep. It's not it's just Black Sheep. Black Sheep Comics is founded by Bijoy Raveendran and Tadam Gaidu. Bijoy Raveendran is in fact the writer on Technicolour Lovers, book 1. The artwork is done by Utsab Chatterjee and the lettering is done by Ravi Ahuja, who also happens to be the publisher with Yali Books. Coming to what this comic is all about, would really appreciate it that you go and read this. So I'm going to keep the disclosure to a bare minimum. I do not want to divulge too much of detail because every aspect of this comic book is a thing of beauty. Right from the cover, which I don't think it's visible here, but there are concentric circles on the design along with the person holding a camera and blood spatter on it. And there is a meaning to each of these elements in the comic book. It is beautifully detailed right from the cover to everything else that you see here. They go for a monochromatic look right through this, but just calling it monochromatic and ending it is not going to be fair to this beautiful piece of literature. First off the bat is Bijoy Raveendran's writing. This is a comic book that delves in the occult. There is forensic science and definite noir inspiration. It mixes, blends all of this with a little bit of supernatural and an aspect of emotion coming into it because it's about a man looking for someone. So all of these things are combined so beautifully. This is not the end of it. Another marvelous aspect of this writing is where this comic is set, what world is it set in, as well as the characters that it populates this world with. All of these things are so well thought, so well crafted. It is beautiful to get consumed by. Yes, that is what this writing does. It consumes you, it pulls you into that world, and that plays on your mind. And yes, it's not just the writing, but the art along with it and the way the lettering comes across. But just being with writing for now, it does pull you in, it stays with you, and it plays with your mind. It has happened with me so much so that after I read it the night before, it gave me this feeling that I'm going to sleep, but I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night and I'm going to be seeing concentric circles. When you read this, you'll know what I'm talking about. I don't want to get into any more detail than that. The comic book is set in a little village called Arakkan, which is at the border of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. One side of the village is populated, the other side is forest area, which is only populated by a tribe, and the tribe is called Kattars. There is a long drawn battle that has gone on between the tribe as well as one community, which is called the Tambrams. I may not be getting the pronunciation right, but you get the drift. This has been going on since late British Raj, and those two factions have been at it at loggerheads for a very long time. Cut to 1963, a new character enters the village and he is known to be a government servant who's coming to inspect the water supply. Nobody here is who they seem. Right from the stranger who comes in, to the people he meets, to what they say about the villagers, the tribe, nothing is what it seems like. This is a 80-pager comic book, and what Bijoy Raveendran does in those 80 pages is phenomenal. He sets the narrative a few years ago, cut to the time right now with backstories for key characters to give them motivations for the reader to understand where they are coming from. And not only that, there are multiple flashbacks thrown in every now and then to talk about not just the characters, but also the myth behind the village or behind the forest, and the entire supernatural element of it. Protagonist is there and you are able to follow him little by little with every clue given here or there, add all of that up to figure out what's going on, and then get to know that yes, this is a man that you can fall behind and root for. Is a beautiful journey on its own. Really enjoyed this aspect. Writing was beautifully done, crafted so well that you are always wanting to know a little bit more of what's going on. And Bijoy is so clever. He knows that he's got you and he knows that you're going to buy the next book. So the entire thing is never revealed. You get enough to get hooked on to Technicolour Lovers. I cannot wait to buy the next one and get on with this story. One thing I forgot to mention on the writing is the fact that there are homages to some DC characters or DC settings. There is a definite homage to Batman and Arkham, as well as H.P. Lovecraft. I'm not sure if the homage is to Batman or H.P. Lovecraft, but going by the amalgamation of different things from pop culture references to supernatural elements and mythology, as well as noir, it feels more like a homage overall to H.P. Lovecraft. I enjoyed all of that. There is also, I'm not sure if that's the case, but I felt I saw Two-Face somewhere in that zone, in that vicinity of Two-Face. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but I really enjoyed picking up on some of these non-existent signals. Then comes the second aspect in comic books, which in a lot of cases becomes pivotal, but in a few cases, this is all that remains. Call back to Batman Damned, where beyond the artwork, there wasn't really much else. Coming back to Technicolour Lovers, Utsab Chatterjee. This man, Utsab, hats off. I bow down to you for what you have done here. Like I said, I did not think that something like this can be this good. Utsab Chatterjee, I've already spoken about the fact that the entire book is almost monochrome. And when I say almost, because there is such beautiful and intelligent use of color, which is the haunting aspect of this art as well. The way the color is used, extremely stingily, but high impact. Wherever you see color in this comic book, it captures you, blows you away, and you are left staring at that piece for minutes at an end without really looking at anything else at that point of time. That's the power of Utsab's artwork. And it's not just that this is monochrome. I am gonna move into a few images as well, and those are the images that the team has already shared on social media and other websites. It's on IGN as well. I do not want to reveal any new pages than what's already out there. When you go through these images, what you realize is artist who is at the top of his game. This is genius stuff, guys. So this is black and white, yes, but at the same time, the texture is created using not just the sketch but the ink. Inking on this is mind-boggling. The way the images finish is gorgeous. Even though it is black and white, it is haunting. Every frame you see a texture, a rawness to bring about an aspect to the story that would be missing otherwise. Because if you polish this, and when you read this comic book, you'll realize what I'm talking about. If you polish this to the likes of any other comic that you find today, from whether from Marvel, DC, or from Indian comic book publishers, I've spoken about some of the others as well in the past. So if you polish this to that extent, a layer from this comic will go wanting, go missing. This adds that rawness to the storytelling such a way that you believe that this is set in that time. These are all the people that live in that village, and you can picturize that story so beautifully. The way these two things come together, Bijoy is writing with Utsab's art, and I can actually imagine Malayalam cinema unraveling in front of me when I move through these pages. It is that beautiful. Malayalam cinema, guys, anybody who's not watched it, it is at the top tier for Indian cinema. Everything else comes below it. So when I'm comparing this to Malayalam cinema, I'm saying this is up there with the very best that Indian cinema has to offer. It is that cinematic. The story, the writing, the artwork, all of that is top tier. Another beautiful aspect of this artwork is the fact that there are two dimensions to this. One is the current storyline. Like I said, Bijoy also talks about the past, and flashbacks are a definite thing, but it's used so beautifully that when the story starts, it starts from 1930s or 40s, something like that. But at that point of time, because the story starts from there, it's not really a flashback. It's not a character thinking back in time. It's not a story being told back in time. This current time, when the comic moves to that, when the story moves to 1960s, is the current time. And from that point on, whenever there is a flashback, you see a different tone to the artwork. Whenever we are in flashback, it is more grainier, it is softer, and there is almost this porous feeling to the artwork because the inking and sketching is done in such a way that it's slightly lighter. It's not that prominent. The best way that I can describe it is the feeling that you get in Harry Potter terms of looking at a memory in the pensieve. So you're looking at a memory through a membrane, and that's the feeling that you get when you look at these flashbacks, the way they have been crafted. It is really a thing of beauty. This is genius people at work. The talent that's available on display in this comic book is just phenomenal. Last and definitely not the least is the lettering by Ravi Ahuja. There are definite textures to this aspect as well, which is rare, because when you already have such a rich storyline, you have such beautiful art, you don't want to overdo it as well. But Ravi knows his thing, and he knows it like the back of his hand. The overall narrative is stitched so well together through the speech bubbles right across the layout that there are certain pages where there is a complex layout and you never ever feel that you want to understand what the sequence of events is going to be or how do I go about reading it. It is so natural when you start reading it and you're in the groove that I realized it almost towards the end of a couple of pages like that. I didn't even want to step back and see that have I read it in the correct order. There is so much to consume on that page, but the way the lettering is done and the way it's put together, it is beautifully crafted and goes as one with everything else that's going on. So there is usage of bold text every now and then to make something more prominent, but the self-explained narrative that's going on by Chandra Bose, who is the lead protagonist here, is put together in almost a lime parchment, ribbed parchment sort of a bubble. And that has the usage of an old typewriter text with the blank spaces in certain characters filled in. Now, that's not a hard fill, it's a soft fill. Again, I'm going too much into detail on this, but the fact that they have gone to that level of depth just tells me how into this everyone is. And it's great to read because that is another aspect that adds so much texture to this overall storytelling and to the fact that this is a character who's thinking back. He is a forensic scientist. He is looking at clues, and at the same time you have those ribbed parchment sort of bubbles that talk about what he's thinking, and the old almost broken typewriter sort of text that is used. So all of these things come together so beautifully to make what is possibly one of the best comic books that I've read in a very long time. This is right up there with anything else that I've read in the recent times. I love it, guys. I cannot stress on this enough that this piece of comic book needs to be celebrated. Indian artists, Indian authors, Indian publishers, guys, hats off to you for doing what you are doing. Black Sheep, Yali, Bijoy Raveendran, Tadam, Ravi Ahuja, all of you guys are just fantastic for creating this platform and bringing out pieces like this. This is a hallmark piece. Loved it to no end. Another important aspect that I forgot to mention, I have already spoken about the level of detail that these guys have gone to put layers into the storyline, put depth into the storyline. And one more such layer is the postcard that comes along with the comic. This is Chandra Bose, the detective. And apart from the beautiful art that you see here, the postcard says Arakan, and there is a stamp with a date. There is meaning for this as well in the storyline. That's the level of depth. I loved this. Is gonna go up on my wall of all things I love. So guys, thank you for doing this once again. If I talk about the accessibility, we have 80 gorgeous pages of some sublime storytelling, some incredible art, and it just costs you $500. This is for keepsake. It's gonna stay with you. The story is still with me. I'm still trying to unravel some things. The concentric circles, I am very close to seeing them in my life. And I can't wait to get my hands on book 2 of Technicolour Lovers. This is available online on multiple platforms. This is available on Black Sheep. This is available through Yali and possibly through a couple of other booksellers as well. Technicolour Lovers is something that you should definitely be reading. This is a series to watch out for. Black Sheep Comics is a comic book publisher to watch out for. That's all from me. Technicolour Lovers has blown my mind. That is obvious. If you've gotten to this point in the video, you know I am absolutely in love with Technicolour Lovers. The link is in the description. You guys can check it out. This is not a sponsored post. This is not a sponsored review. If you click on whatever link I'm going to mention and buy, I do not get a penny. I do not get anything. This is just me falling in love with Indian comics. This is me falling in love with incredible art and incredible storytelling. That's all. Go ahead, check it out. This is Filmy Fool. This is where we discuss all things pop culture. Till the next video, take care, like, share and subscribe guys. Very important, and can't wait to get into issue 2.